Hey guys, it's Lazy, and in this video, I want to provide a quick build guide update to my Cold Dot Elementalist, specifically my day 1 update to this particular characters, which I got to level 90 at this point. I am able to push these characters on an extremely tight budget with only 2 very cheap unique items, which I self-farm in highs, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But anyway, this character is level 90s, very tight budgets, and with the additional added power of graph, we are able to push deep into the red maps, and I haven't felt the need to upgrade my gears yet. But yeah, first of all, I want to talk about how this build feel and how it actually play, because it's actually very comfy in my opinions. So the playstyle is essentially Wintertide brand has really good innate AoE from the brand mastery. It says that brand attached to a new enemies each time they activate no more than once every 0.3 seconds. So every 0.3 seconds, the branch gonna detach from the enemies and jump to nearby's enemy, which will cause Wintertide and debuff, and that is basically an AoE that it hits for the stage of the brand. So if it keeps jumping around, it's gonna do a lot of AoE damage and it's gonna clear everything, which make the playstyles a lot simpler and a lot smoother, and it's less spammy. So you are just Q charging around. And usually a pack of monster, you only need to drop 1 or 2 Wintertide brand. You can also cold snap on top of them to gain frenzy charge. And yeah, the dot is gonna just take care of the pack, and you can move on to the next pack already. The playstyle itself is actually quite safe. The brand itself can kind of linger not attached to anything for 6 seconds. So you can kind of put the brand on the ground and kite the enemy into the brand, and then you can kind of like off-screen the monsters without, getting hit. And then you can also do cold snap and all stuff like that from range. So if you do run into a very rippy mobs, you can actually do that. Now, in terms of gear progressions, you can kind of just follow what I wrote down in the POB for skill gems and everything. The skill itself with the golem is going to pick up the build by itself. But if you want to be extremely strong in the campaign, or if you want to be like extremely strong once you get into map, what I highly recommend is you're going to farm a little bit of highs to get the Chaos Orb, and then you're going to buy 2 key unique items into the build. The first one is the Ram Gaze, which is the helmets that you can equip from level 65. And the second one is actually a replica allelopathy glove that you can equip from level 41. Now, on actual league start, I was not able to afford this at level 41, mainly because nobody had access to blueprints, and they didn't run highs until I was like higher level later, so no one actually have this replica allelopathy on the markets. Now, at level 65, I was able to afford both Ram Gaze and this glove at the same times, and my damage has essentially skyrocketed. Now, if you are like slower than me, and if you're still going through the campaign, highly recommend you guys to just kind of pick this up at level 41, because for example, at level 41 you only have a level 9 Wintertide brand, but if you have access to this glove, you can have a level 25 Wintertide brand, which mean that, usually you don't get access to that until you get level 80 plus, so you're gonna double your damage easily in the campaigns. And for reference, I'm still using this right now at level 90, pushing into red maps. So in the campaign, I did not really interact with the systems of Genesis tree or graph system at all, mainly because I feel like even on a full link, our skills is already strong enough to kind of just destroy the campaign. So my idea is to rush to map as soon as I can. And eventually, when you are in map, all of these endgame mechanics will scale a lot better, which means that, it's probably more efficient to do so, but it's entirely up to you. This is my current Genesis tree, and mainly I'm just gonna talk about the graph systems, which we are playing a Cold Dot build, so you really want to have tall curations, which have 400% increased chance for both graph to be tall graph. And what it means is that tall graph has a chance to be one of this. So freezing tall graph is one of the really good graph that actually do an insane amount of damage. I was quite surprised at the damage that this skills actually does, and it helps me a lot with AoE clear and bridge, help me with single target damage, and the cooldown times is actually very short, and so you're just like constantly shooting the projectiles at enemies. And also because we are using Falling Crystal, which means our 4 or 5 link has to change a little bit, so do not use Elemental Focus for the Wintertide brand skills, because then you cannot chill with Wintertide brand, and therefore, you know, this thing is not going to activate. The other toe hands, I'm using Aegis toe graph. Essentially, whenever you use the Frost Bomb, you get like a shield for elemental damage that can take up to 900 damage. Not that, you know, nothing too special, but it can be like a cooldown to use whenever you want to fight boss. But yeah, this is the MVP of the graph. If you are, you know, interacting with this system, you can also actually go ahead and buy these things as well. So if you search for Freezing Toe Graph, there's actually a few mods that is very interesting. So it has the skill used by this graph, inflict frostbite on hit, which is actually insane because it's gonna save us like 1 slot of gems. This build is very like gem slot hungry. So if you can kind of relieve the socket pressures, it's gonna be nice. And also, you know, frostbite on hit, which means that you can use something like elemental weakness as well for dual curse, and it's just like insane amount of QOL. So yeah, just look for like a high level of falling crystals, high cold damage. You know, this thing looks very good. It also have the modifiers for increased cold damage, which also help our damage a little bit. So yeah, overall for graph, this is my choice of graph. I think it's quite straightforward, nothing too special, but yeah, for our builds, we're gonna like permanently, because Wintertide brand just keep activating so much, and it's gonna keep chilling the enemies, and as long as you are in range, this thing is just gonna keep shooting at enemies. Even though my gear is quite scuffed at this point, and since it's really day 1, I haven't really get to optimize my gear yet. I just want to quickly share that in this build, we actually have enough single target damage at this point, pushing into red maps, and I don't really feel like I'm missing any sort of single target DPS. We have no way to calculate the toe graph damage at this point in the PoE, but I highly believe that, you know, the Falling Crystal skills is actually broken for this build. First of all, it has really high crit chance, and then it has a really low cooldown time, and the cast time is also low. And essentially, our Wintertide branches constantly are hitting, and Falling Crystal are constantly are hitting, which means that, you know, it's doing tons of AoE damage, but it also helps a lot with single target damage, and, you know, it deals a lot of damage in general. So, yeah, at this point, my gear, you can kind of see here, I have not really upgraded my gears at all, and right now I'm pushing deep into red maps. So Replica Allelopathy, I got it from the campaigns. Ramgaze, also from the campaigns. Just make sure that if you are using a Falling Crystals, you want to make sure that you don't have Elemental Focus on here. Otherwise, your Wintertide brand is not gonna be able to chill or freeze. And then I have Zeal Amplifier, which I also pick up off the ground. You can go for any other shield as well, but yeah, this one is pretty good. It gives slot damage, maximum life, yes, and it has increased area of effect. And we also have Zealot Oath, which is also pretty nice because it can scale with the Golem as well to regen our ES. But everything else is pretty much I picked up from the campaign. I haven't really changed. So this is a really bad boots. This Heavy Dots is quite decent, but yeah, it's nothing too special, right? A lot of maximum life, but that's it. And Ring is roughly the same, right? Just elemental resistance. This one I got from the campaigns, roughly around level 50, I think. It is extremely bad, but again, I have no problem with damage at this point. I feel like this toe graph thing is carrying really hard, so eventually I'll craft a better one, but yeah, maybe on day 2. My amulet is focused on all attributes, dexterity and strength. This build do need a lot of strength index, so make sure that you fill out the strength index somewhere if you don't meet the requirements, because eventually we'll want our golem to be at max level. and I don't even have an anointment. But the 2 possible anointment if you want to put on would be Ash, Frost, and Storm, which cost you 2 Crimson and 1 Sepia. Or this one I believe would be a bit cheaper, Elements of Focus. So yeah, Sepia, Ember, and Azure Oi. Yeah, so beside that, you know, I got my 4th lab. I haven't think about any ascendancies, Bloodlight Ascendancy yet. But yeah, this is still a tree. I haven't really swapped over to the budget red map setups that I have in the PoB. Just make sure that if you do want to follow these characters, I recommend you to just follow whatever setup I have in the PoB for the budget endgame setups. With the only exceptions is that you should not be using elemental focus in the glove, so that you can actually chill enemies with Wintertide brand. And finally, a few people asked me whether we should go for ES and evasions versus armor and block. And my answers is basically, if you are going to be pushing into T16 or red maps, farming on softcore, it is a lot better to do it on ES evasion gear. And especially this league, since you can have Soul Thief over here, it is a really strong form of recovery. And we're going for evasions with Ghost Dance as well. This league, there's a bunch of like small monster from Breach, and you can like, if you can kill a lot of monster and have good AoE, this is a very comfy node to take. Whereas if you are going for armor and block early in the games without having access to Aegis Aurora, or even like, you know, expensive gear to actually cap your block from the clusters, jewels, and you know, other stuff like that. All depends, right? But it is going to be a lot more comfy in the early games to go with the ES evasion setups. So yeah, that is pretty much everything I have for you on my day 1 updates. I'm going to try out a few more things. There's some modifiers on the wand to give +4 to all cold spell skills, and you know, a few more things, right? Because 6-link is quite cheap, so it makes the pseudo's 5-link setups from the glove a little bit weaker. So ultimately, I might swap in day 2, but we'll see. Eventually, when I get to T16 mapping and start pushing and farming some content, we'll see. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, guys. Good luck with Lick Start, and I'll see you in the next one.